Hey guys, it's Brennan. We have a 15-minute game here today on the ICC. I'm playing somebody named Demarojax, rated 1818. So lower rated than me, but my rating on this auto pairing is probably inflated severely higher than it should be. Well, probably by about 100 points. I'm not sure. This is the standard, not the auto pairing. So he's playing. We got a King's Indian here, and he's playing the G6, the G3 King's Indian, which is very solid. I'm going to play C5 here, and we'll see how he chooses to meet C5. Maybe E3 is an option here. This is actually a 15-10 game, so hopefully this game doesn't go on for too long. But at least you won't have any time scrambles at the end. So if he allows me to take the d-pawn in exchange for the knight, it sort of becomes like a dragon Sicilian almost, with the pawns on e7, d6, and then the fianchetto. So it could be like even like a Marazzi bind if he then plays e4. But instead he decides to play for the space in the center here with d5, which is fine. It creates a weakness on e7 that I'll have to sort of keep an eye on if he ever gets to push the e-pawn forward, like e4, e5, and then there could be a weakness for me on e7. In the meantime, my play is going to hopefully come in the form of playing the move b5 at some point. Maybe not right away, because I need to prepare it. And he can always try to slow down my play by playing a4. Try to slow down my attempt to play b5. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, he did. He went for that. But can I play it now anyway because of the rook? Takes. I need to play knight takes. Let's see, takes. If I play b5, he can play. No, he can. That's not what I'm talking about here. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so he's just trying to slow down my play here. I don't want to play a move like e7, e6, or e5, give him a chance to take, and then the d6 pawn would become weak. Bishop to f4 would be an easy way to pick on the b pawn. But what can I do here? I can maybe develop the queen. I need some space for my pieces. I need maybe to play knight d6 or knight b6, bishop b7, that kind of thing. Try to get the move b5 in. So yeah, e4 is pretty standard. So knight b6 with tempo on the c4 pawn. He has to defend it. And then, well, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say here what to do. I just need to find some way to get some space for my pieces. Is the problem. I need to play b5, but I can't do it yet. Hmm. Maybe I have to play e6 here. Yeah, maybe I really have to. I don't think that helps me very much, though. Well, this would be knight e5 would be unpleasant because if he takes the knight, well, maybe something like knight to e8 and then bishop to f4, knight to f. But if I play knight to e8, right, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try to play knight to e5 and try to exchange some pieces here. It also prevents his bishop from being developed to uh, to f4, which is probably where it belongs. d3 is also probably okay. So my plan here is just to get some space for my pieces and play knight to e5 with tempo on the e pawn, or the c pawn, so he'll probably have to exchange. Well, maybe not. He can actually play knight d2. That could be strong, actually. And then maybe f4. So, might not be so easy. So yeah, just fighting against the space advantage that he has at the moment, and hoping that some of these advanced pawns might be weaknesses for him, in the future. So the d4 square could be a nice place for my bishop at some point in the future, but I doubt he'll give up his dark square bishop, or else I would just have nice command of a lot of these dark squares. So we'll see what he does here. I mean, he could even think about a move like knight to d2 right now, so that if I play knight to e5, he can just play f4. But then maybe I can play knight to g4, followed up with bishop check, and then knight to e3, forcing him to give me the dark square bishop. That could be an idea. So even if he plays knight to d2 here, I think I'll play knight to f4. Knight to e5. And on the move f4, play knight g4. Followed up, if possible, by bishop to d4 and then knight to e3. So that would be my plan in that situation. He can play a move like bishop to g5 here. That could be a nice square for his bishop, just attacking my weak pawn. In which case, I'll probably play just rook f to e8, so that covering that pawn. Or I actually could just play knight to e5 right away, so the queen will guard the pawn laterally. I think that should be okay. But he's taking a little bit of time here. So yeah, I think white has a pretty good advantage in this position. It's not huge. It would be much easier for me if I could relieve my cramp by trading off a couple pieces. So in the case that I play knight to d5 and he takes with the knight on f3, bishop takes, and that at least gives me the square d7 for my bishop, and then I can move the rook over and play for the b5 pawn break. Or if he plays a5 at some point, play b5 anyway, and if he takes, then one of the files will become open for me on the queen side one way or another. So he's taking a little bit of time here, which is fine. It's a 15-minute game. Maybe he can think about a move like bishop h3, so that on knight to e5, you can play bishop takes h3, but then I can play knight takes check, queen takes, and then retake maybe with the queen and get my queen in on the white squares. That could be an idea. So hopefully we're still going in this game here. Yeah, I'm still connected, so he's thinking here. I'll ping him real quick. Aha. So he decided that he was going to move the knight ahead of time. So this is my plan here now, was to play, if he plays f4, to play knight g4, followed by, hopefully, bishop to d4, and knight to e3. So that's the plan here. I could also play maybe for f5 here. Could that be a way for me to get some play in this position? Is f5 a move? So now the knight coming into e3 doesn't really work so well. I could get a tempo with the bishop by playing bishop to g4 here, and if he plays f3, then just go back to d7. That could be an idea. So let's just develop this bishop with tempo here. He'll probably play f3. That seems to be a logical move. So the queen came to c2, e2 just to protect the e pawn, obviously. Yeah, so I'll just move the bishop back. Hopefully I'm not getting my knights trapped. If he plays f4, if he ever plays f4, I'll have bishop to g4, and then the queen has to move, but then I'll take on, then I can take on c4, because the queen won't have a square from which it can protect the e-pawn. So maybe he should play a move like b3. He can't play yet. He wants to play a move like b3, but that would fail tactically to knight takes f3 check, and then bishop takes knight. But he should try to play a move like b3, or some other move to help defend the pawn. So I think my position is okay right now. This knight on h5 is a little silly. I'm not sure, it's not really accomplishing much there. But maybe I can play a move like queen a5 to b4, putting more pressure on the pawn there. Now queen a5 is a little dangerous. And also he's protecting the knight, so he can play a move like b3. Now he can't if I play queen first here. Queen b6 might be a move for me here. And then if he defends the pawn, like with the rook, say, then I can play a move like queen to e4. I do have to make sure my queen isn't getting trapped. Could be dangerous for me if I taking the b pawn could lead to my queen getting trapped, which could be dangerous. So, yeah, I'll just defend the pawn with the rook here. So I'm looking to try and get a move in like queen to b4, queen to b3, putting some pressure on this c4 pawn, which I think is weak. I think my position's okay, even though I have less space. I don't think his piece, like this bishop on g2 is obviously not a good piece right now. It's really not doing anything. So even though he has some more space, I think I'm drumming up a little bit of play here. So he might have a move like knight to c2, and then if queen to b4 or b3 or b3, because the knight will be covering b4. He could play like knight to a3 to cover the c pawn again, I guess. but that knight seems a little far away from the action here. So, okay, so what's going on? On f4, I should still have the move bishop g4, right? That's interesting. So queen to... I have to be careful because I don't want my queen to get trapped. Queen here, how is he defending the pawn again? This could be dangerous for me, I don't know. A lot of squares that are not very free there. But let's see what happens. If I hang my queen, I hang my queen, right? Worse things have happened. Not very many worse things, but worse things happened. Not very many in terms of chess anyway. So, trying here to sneak in and win this c4 pawn. But I'm a little nervous. Just a little nervous about my queen getting trapped, potentially. Because she's low, low, low on safe squares. But things happen, so let's see. Oh, he could actually play rook to... No, he can't play rook to a4. My bishop is covering it. So, rook to a4, bishop takes a4, bishop h3, and I'll just take the... Bishop h3, if I take the bishop, and then he plays rook to a4. That's what I'm sort of a little worried about, because then I'll only have b3. So that could be dangerous. But if he plays bishop to h3, I can play queen takes first, because my knight's covering the bishop. Oh, but then, actually, my knight would no longer be covering the bishop if he played queen takes, and then knight takes. But maybe there would be some tactics. I don't know. It's hard to say. Hard to say what's going on here, but I do have a big advantage on the clock right now. It's a 15 plus 10 second game, so it's not like he's in danger of running out of time at some point. But you know, it's still something. Alright. This is a risky move, but I'm going to go for it. I think his best bet now is to try to trap my queen in some way. Nope, he decided not to try to trap my queen. He's just going for... He's going for some play on the b pawn. But this is dangerous for him because when I defend the b pawn, I'll be threatening to play h6, and then the bishop would have to move off of the diagonal, or at least give itself up for this knight, and then I'll have a fork here on d2, forking the rook and the knight. So now, of course, my position is probably winning. So I'm threatening h6, I believe, and then if he plays bishop h4, h6 is now a big threat, because if he plays bishop g4, then I play g5, and that wins the bishop. If he plays here to f4, I'll take the bishop. Well, he could go all the way back to d1. That's what he can do, is he can go bishop to c1, excuse me. That's the only way to defend the bishop pair. But then I can play bishop d4 check, probably, and things could get, you know, good for me. Knight to e3. Alright, so let's just do this, and we'll see if he comes up with bishop to c1. He may not. You know, yeah, he did. But going back there would mean I would win the bishop pair, so that would be nice for me also. But okay, so the knight here is covering the the c4 square. But actually, I can take here, attacking the rook, right? I'm winning another pawn. So why don't I do that? I actually could have done that earlier, because I didn't notice that earlier. But the knight would have been protecting the b7 pawn. So where's he going with the rook? Wherever he puts the rook, I'm probably going to play knight back to c4, which would force him then to move the rook again, like so. And I'll probably play b5 here. Just stretch out on the queen side, get some space, and I think I have a very nice position now. Not I think, I know I have a very nice position. And he has to worry about me trapping his rook with the move like, you know, a5, a4, forcing the rook to move to, yeah, but if I play a5 and then a4, forcing the rook to be lost, what are you going to do? He probably has to move his knight now on c3, so like knight to e2 or something, because I'm seriously threatening to play a4 here, just winning the rook, or well, winning in exchange, which he didn't see. So I'll do that. No, Christ. Shoot. Did I screw something up here? Or, no, I did win the exchange, right? Yeah, but he got a pawn for it. So, okay. I guess the best plan for me now is to pile up. I can actually. I'm threatening to take this pawn. So I won the exchange, but he got one of his pawns back. So I just have a big pawn advantage here. Threatening the b pawn. How can he defend it? Again, he can't. So I think the b pawn is going to fall. And yeah, once the b pawn falls, my a pawn will be a big asset for me. And I don't think he has any serious counterplay here. Yeah, but I'm just gonna move. I'm gonna just move this knight out of the way. Probably d7 to e5. Uncovering again an attack on the b pawn. And so this is just a comfortable winning position for me here. So yeah. So now he's severely weakening his dark squares, and I'm just threatening to take the bishop, to take the pawn. And again, I don't think there's any way for him to defend it. He should have invested that tempo playing maybe like rook e2 and then moving the knight out of the way. But now these dark squares are going to be a big problem for him. His king is weak. This b pawn is a problem. So, and I have a massive edge on the clock. So, you know, just a winning position. Just going to take me being a little careful. Yeah, there's that. I did forget about that. But maybe I can just push this a pawn down the board now. I can play moves like knight to e5. I don't even have back rank problems because I'll have the h7 square. I did miss that this pawn was hanging. So even if I had played king to h7, he would have been able to defend, sort of. So maybe he can play a move like bishop to a1 to try to blockade the pawn. But I'm gonna play. Okay, did want to do that. That's a good move. Just trying to prevent my knight from coming into e5, I guess. But knight f6 or knight b6, b6 here and here. So knight b6, and my idea is to play knight to a4, and then to c3, forking the rook and the bishop. And I'm not going to have any back rank problems, like I said before. So I just need to play a little carefully here. This doesn't bother me at all, because he doesn't have any penetration squares. So if he plays takes, I can take, and well, you know, what's he going to do? He can't put the rook in on the 6th or the 7th rank. So I'm just trying to get my knight into c3 now to chase this bishop away from the defense of this square, and just, you know, try to push this pawn forward. And yeah, no worries here. I even have another protected passed pawn on c5 here. So position's looking pretty good. This bishop is a little offsides, I think. Just have to be a little bit careful. I have plenty of time, so no need to worry about that. Yeah, I mean, what's there to really say about this position? I'm just threatening to play knight to c3, forking the rook and the bishop, so he's going to have to give up one of those pieces. So he has to move, probably the rook, but the square on c3 is protected by the bishop, so even if he played a move like rook e3, it wouldn't make a difference. He probably has to go for some kind of desperation stuff like, I don't know, f5 or something, and then try to take on g6, but that's not going to work. I'm not worried about getting checkmated because my rooks are so nicely covering any entry squares. And yeah, I mean, his knight is not very well positioned. And okay, he's running out of time, so it seems like he's just going to let the clock run out here. I know it seems like I'm picking on players who are lower rated than me, but okie doke. So let's stick the knight in here, attacking the rook, and then push the pawn home. Yeah. Right. Let's push this baby home. But now when he takes the rook, yeah, so this is my idea here, check queens. So, alright, an interesting game. Let's take a look at it from the beginning. Can I go to the beginning here and examine this? It's not going to let me. Let's see. Is it letting me do the... I'm going to pause the video and try to examine this. Okay, so we are examining the game here. Had a little bit of problems with Blitz in there for a second, but got it working, I think. So yeah, we've got a King's Indian here, and the idea of this move a4 is just to clamp down on the b5 push, making it tougher for me to push b5 at some point. So that's fine. And I think I hit on a decent plan here with knight h5. In the game, I was talking about putting the knight in on e5, and he didn't want to trade pieces, and that's okay. But then bishop g4, and so my idea was if he ever played something like f4, I would have this move, knight to g5, and then if he played something like this, I could play check maybe. Well, I guess that wouldn't work with the queen here, because the queen also guards this square. I was thinking before, I guess before he put the queen there, that I would have something like this. But that wouldn't really work because then he just takes. So that wouldn't really work. But here I was thinking this move, okay, it puts pressure on the pawn here. I don't know about a5, and I'm not sure if there's really a way for him to hang on to that pawn. But let's see what I'm just gonna quickly turn on the computer. Yeah, the computer thinks I'm slightly better here. It wants to play g4 for some reason. But queen takes c4, and I was concerned that there would be some way for him to trap my queen, but the computer doesn't see it. So probably there isn't a way to do that. So now here, this is just a much better position for me. I could have played this right away, I guess, instead of playing the b pawn, because the rook is attacked by the knight, and the knight also defends here. So I could have done that, but this was fine too. So here my idea was either if he played this, then to do something like this and just have this really awesome bishop. I thought that would be really positionally nice for me, and then I could get this knight back into the game. But he didn't go for that. He played bishop c1, but then I saw that I could take this pawn and then expand on, move forward with b5. And he tried to get rid of this knight and exchange off his bad bishop for this knight, which is a good idea in the positional sense, but he missed this threat of just pushing the pawn. So he gets one pawn back, but it's an exchange now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have an exchange and a pawn here. So that's just winning, of course. And all this stuff is just sort of wasting time. Yeah, I mean, I forgot the h pawn was hanging there, but I think it's a better trade for me just because I get this pawn is now a passed pawn. So, and this knight maneuver was just the final little bit. You can see his rook has no entry squares here because my rooks are doing such a nice job of defending any entry. So it was just a matter of pushing the pawn forward, and this is just immediately losing because after takes, the rook comes in with check, and he's forced to give it up, and I get a queen, or either that or he moves it, and then I take his rook, and then whatever. So, alright, interesting game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.